Hello, welcome in. This is Shaped by Kate. Today we're going to continue our first trimester yoga series, and we're going to start in our supported fish pose. So you'll need 2 blocks or a bolster or even just some blankets. If you don't have props, you can also skip this part of the video. So you're going to set up the first prop a little bit higher or even the same height. And that's just going to go kind of where your bra strap would be or where your shoulder blades come to a point. And then the second block is going to go underneath your head. We're just going to come into a nice back bend. So get that situated. Arms come down by your sides. If this feels really intense, knees can be bent, and that can just support the lower spine. Or go ahead and just lengthen the legs, finding your supported fish pose. Inhale in, opening up that heart. Exhale to sink the shoulder blades around your yoga block. Now in pregnancy, there tends to be a lot of thoughts going around. So in these exercises in our yoga practice today, I really just want you to focus on your inhales and exhales. You have nowhere to be, need nothing to do. Just be present with yourself, with your heart and your breath. Beautiful. Just switching up positions if you haven't already. We're going to do kind of a cactus arm position. And it's okay if your arms are kind of floating off right here. If you don't really like that, you can also do a Y pose or just come back to that normal position. But we're just going to open up that heart a little bit more. This can also open up the biceps and the forearms. Continue that deep breath. Beautiful. Go ahead and bring those arms back down by your sides. Bend the knees. And then use those forearms to help lift you up and away from your yoga blocks. And just come to a seated position. Now, if that feels like a lot for your spine, just go ahead and sit in this neutral position with those palms facing up. And we're going to do our belly breaths here. So inhale, let that belly expand. And then exhale, press the belly button towards your spine and just slightly feel it drawing upwards. It doesn't have to feel like a huge drawing upwards. That's just to sort of help squeeze that belly button to your spine. Inhale in. Exhale out. Good. Inhale in. Exhale out. Now we've already kind of slowed down our breath already. So while we're also expanding the belly, I also kind of want you to think about expanding the sides and the spine, kind of just like a 360 around the torso. Taking up space in both the mind, taking up space in the breath and your posture. Beautiful. Now turn those hands down on your knees, and you can kind of switch up where that hand position will be. I personally think it's more comfortable on my knees, and I also think it's comfortable to come into a butterfly position. But if you like easy pose, stay there. We're just gonna lean back, find that counter pose from our back bend, find our seated our seated cat pose. And I like the hands on our body because we can sort of press to feel those shoulder blades pulling apart rather than the earth. So you can kind of use gravity to lean back. And as you can see with my breath, as you inhale, that forces the shoulder blades to move. Beautiful. Come back to your upright position. Let's go ahead and come into our tabletop pose. So you can move those blocks back to the front of your mat if you haven't already. Okay. And then we're going to do our child's pose to our puppy pose. So go ahead and take either wide or normal. Just kind of another heart closer here. That was a really long back bend, so just kind of giving your heart a little hug, setting down that forehead. Really finding a relaxing pose. So if arms kind of feel like it's stretching those arms too much, set them underneath your forehead or reach behind towards your toes. Now, if your mind has kind of wandered away from just focusing on your breath, think about just sinking into the yoga mat. Good. When I think of myself sinking into the yoga mat, I like to think of myself outside in nature. Now, my favorite kind of feeling out in nature is moss, just sinking down in moss. Nice, squishy kind of substance. You can also think of just your own favorite nature spot to be in. Beautiful. Inhale, roll up. Good. Let's find that tabletop again. And then this time we're going to do a little bit more of an active pose. So we're going to curl those toes under, walk the knees back a little bit, and then walk the hands forward, finding our puppy pose. So this time you're going to come back into that back bend. Maybe forearms touch the earth. And it's almost as if your chin was actually going to touch down on the mat. Tailbone and crown of the head look to the sky. Looking forward just as much as you're able. If that gaze to look forward and up kind of hurts, just close your eyes. Beautiful. Go ahead and exhale to lift. Walk the hands and knees back to normal tabletop. And then let's kick those legs back in front. We're going to find our fetal pose. So if you want to add in props for fetal pose, go ahead and add them in. Roll down onto your spine. And then I'm going to start on that left side first. If you have a favorite side though, you can start on that side. Go ahead and just make it nice and comfy. Use your hands as props. You can kind of have an uneven stance too. Again, extending one leg or keeping them both bent. I especially like this pose because we typically only do our fetal pose at the end of practice, but it's a nice way just to kind of let everything drain out the ear, drain out the side body. Beautiful. Now go ahead and roll onto your spine. And let's roll to the other side. Just kind of even it out. Find your other side fetal pose. Notice if you need to make any adjustments to make this side a little bit more comfy. Now that we've kind of let everything drain out one side, now letting everything drain out the other. So letting any of those wandering thoughts drain out that ear. Sink back into that nature spot you've imagined yourself in. You're welcome to stay here for Savasana or come into that traditional stance. So a lot of times when you advance into your pregnancy, you can't lay on your spine, so you can go to that fetal position or even a child's pose. So wherever you're at, kind of just find that stillness. Now, wherever you've imagined where you are in nature, so if you've chosen mine, a kind of a bed of nice green moss, now with our Shavasana, you're just kind of going to imagine that nature wrapping its arms around you. So that moss now covering up your arms and your legs, keeping though the belly and heart open to the sky. Letting those facial muscles relax, eyebrows sink to your ears, earlobes sink to the base of your skull. And with that in mind, I leave you here in Shavasana. All right, go ahead and awake from your Savasana pose. So flutter those eyes open and closed. And then go ahead and just adjust those arms out of your nature spot, bringing them to your heart and belly. Same thing with the legs, moving them up and away from the earth. Now we already did our fetal pose, so if you'd rather stay on your back, go ahead and stay on your back. Take about 3 to 5 more rounds of breath. And then gently make your way to your seated position. Once you are in your seated pose, bring those hands to heart center and close your eyes. And then give yourself a moment of gratitude today for finding a yoga practice, for being strong in your first trimester of pregnancy. And then take that bow forward as respect to your practice. Namaste.